This episode is brought to you by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women. Call 956-441-2188. Roadie's Country Fried Chicken, proudly serving Eagle Pass, Texas for over 35 years. Eddie Ruiz Coronado. Contact him at 956-598-3487 for all your financial needs.
He's picked up by Darren Woodson again, his second INT.
Darren Woodson, similar type of play. He picks it up and let it go. He could go. Oh, no, wait. But Darren Woodson ends the Raider comeback.
Hey, it is Charlie Corona here at the RGV Sports Show. PVT on location live. And well, who did we run into? Mr. Darren Woodson. Welcome to South Texas.
Man, thanks for having me, Charlie.
It's great to have you here, and you know what a career you had, and it's great that the fans get to meet you.
Yeah.
You know, right from the start, when you were at ASU, I wasn't sure about how you got on the team because you had to walk on, but you had to wait, or there was some. How did that work? How did you get on the team? Because did they draft you? Tell me the story of how you started.
I think the story has been embellished over the years, and it just depends on who's telling the story. So it's coming from my mouth.
Okay.
So I came in at Arizona State, and I was a prop, what we call a prop 48. My grades weren't good enough in high school.
Okay.
And I was getting recruited nationally by a lot of the major schools, but I had two options. Either I can go to a junior college and play there for 2 years and then transfer over to a major college, or I could sit out my first year and get my academics up, get my grade point average up, and then play the next year at a major college. Arizona State, thank God, was a school that really wanted me, and they wanted me to sit out that first year. And they knew then and truly believed in academically that I could get the job done. And laid out a great game plan for me as far as my academics. I graduated in 3.5 years. I really got hyper-focused in that offseason. And it was probably one of the first times that I had a major setback in my life. I played football since I was 7 years old, never missed a season. And because I wasn't focused on the right things in high school, specifically my first 2 years in high school, I had a major setback there, but again, hey, I rebounded, knew I could get the job done, and there I went. Played 3 or 4 years at Arizona State.
You know, let's tell everybody you've got a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
and you're trying to send a lot of great messages.
Yeah.
Let's tell everybody what is your YouTube channel.
Well, it's the Darren Woodson Show, and the name's going to change here in the next probably in the next month or two.
Okay.
I host the show, my podcast, Darren Woodson Show, with Tyler Klutz, who's a former Dallas Cowboy, played 6 years in the NFL, played for multiple teams, and a young man named Ben Gibbs, who went to Abilene Christian School and was a guy who was a very good athlete, tore his knee up going into his draft, and never was able to finish his dream of playing in the NFL. But our goal is that we are a lifestyle podcast. We want to talk positive energy. We want to bring positive light. We want to have guests on who talk about their journeys, like my journey.
Mm-hmm.
I've had the major setbacks that people didn't know about.
Yeah.
I had to get through the humiliation in these processes, and that's what we want to interview. We want to interview people with amazing stories that can tell our viewers, hey, that they've gone through it, they've had to bounce back, and the podcast is about encouragement and bringing light, true light, in a positive light to those that are out there. Because right now, what are we seeing, Charlie? We're seeing so much negative out there, man. There's so much good that needs to be told, and we want to bring that good.
I saw your channel. It's a phenomenal channel,
Yeah.
and I encourage everyone to check it out. Now, you said, hey, you were at ASU.
Yeah.
Did you expect to be drafted? Did you think?
Absolutely.
Did you think, hey, it's
Yes.
going to happen?
Yes.
What did you bet on? What did you think you were headed? Where were you going?
I bet on self. I bet on self when I was a young kid. I grew up in the projects in Phoenix, Arizona, Henson Projects, and then I moved out to an area called Maryville High. And I've been a firm believer. My mother was a single parent, raised 4 kids, and she spoke confidence into us. She spoke hope into us. She spoke, being positive and being self-assured that you can get the job done. And that's how I grew up. So I knew when I was a young kid that my focus was going to be in going to college, making sure I graduated from college and then making it to the NFL. And I was serious about my goals. I wrote my goals down. It wasn't something that I just hid myself. I wrote it down, looked at it every day, and it encouraged me to be who I am today. It's because I just there is no. There is a go.
Yeah.
And that's a green button that I hit every day and look at myself in the mirror, and I want to go. So I knew early on that I was going to play at some level. It wasn't going to be from the lack of want to and the lack of work ethic that wasn't going to get me there. If I just wasn't good enough, then the league would have told me. But I always felt like I was going to play in the NFL.
Mr. Darren Woodson, that's great message to send to everybody. And you say, no, it's not about no, it's about go. When you were drafted, they told you that they wanted to change the position.
Yes, absolutely.
And how did that affect your mentality? Like, wait, I haven't been playing that position.
Yeah.
And then, so how did you pivot, or what did you do?
Well, before I came out, I played a little safety in college. What they called it the rover back, the devil back at Arizona State. And I had a coach in Lovie Smith who coached head coach of the Chicago Bears, was head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was my position coach in college. He taught me how to play multiple positions, not only the linebacker position, but the safety position. I covered the slot receiver while I was in college. So the transition, going from the college game to the pro game, I knew I was going to make the transition to the safety position. That was the inevitable position because I was too small to play linebacker.
Right.
It was quite the transition. I had a lot of work. Dave Campo, who was the position coach with the Dallas Cowboys, worked with me every day to make the transition. I'll tell everyone out there today, it was not easy. It was a lot of work, and I had to put a lot of time into it. But, after the first year, I really started to get comfortable with playing the position. And it was more so not so much the physical part of it, but the mental. I'd always been playing close to the line of scrimmage. I'd never played that far back and was the last line of defense.
So you have to catch up.
You got to catch up and make sure no one gets behind you. That was a little different for me. So made the transition to my second year, and it was history then. I was a starter for the Dallas Cowboys for the next 12 years.
I heard you say something in an interview, and I wanted you to clarify or expand on it. You said, hey, there's a difference between being fast and being quick.
Yeah.
And you said, hey, some guys are real fast, but other guys are quick. Elaborate. What are you referring to? What's that?
Well, the NFL, you always have fast guys, and not only in the NFL, but in all sports, you'll have fast guys but there's always a difference. And there's a track speed in which a guy can run full speed straight ahead.
Right.
And that's one thing.
Right.
But in the NFL, it's rare that you're going to be able to just run straight ahead. You're going to have to move because people are going to always divert you, put their hands on you, try to knock you off balance. You look at guys like a Deion Sanders or a Barry Sanders or Emmitt Smith. You have to be elusive in the NFL. You can't be just a straight line burner and think that you're going to be that you're going to get the ball or you're going to outrun everybody. It doesn't work that way. And there's players in the NFL right now. In particular, there's a guy with the Kansas City Chiefs that everybody says is the fastest in the league. Yeah, but he's quick as well. So quickness plays a huge part of making it in the NFL and staying in the NFL.
You brought up a lot of names, and I'm glad you did, because a lot of guys, they got a lot of hype and they got a lot of fireworks. Who, when you were playing, actually, wow, this guy lives up to his name. This guy's not just the hype. He's not just the sizzle, he's the steak. Who was that?
Primetime, Deion Sanders. Played against him early on in my career when he was in Atlanta, and then went to San Francisco. Heard there were, and I was in college, Deion was already in the league. I think he was in his 4th year in the league. And there was always this hype about Deion, Primetime Sanders, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I saw him, and I was like, okay, I get it.
Okay,
I understand. And then when I played with him as a teammate, I figured out early on that he's different, and he fits the bill of Primetime Sanders because he not only was he one of the fastest players I've ever played with, like we mentioned, but he's one of the quickest. He had some of the best hands, best feet. Was extremely aware, knew the game, had a great football IQ, knew everything, all the nuances within the game. He was a complete – God made a player, a football player. He made Deion Sanders. And there's a reason, again, they call him prime time for a reason, because he came on when the lights came on. So he fit the bill of the name.